Zaporozhye, Zaporizhye. Till 1921 Alexandrovsk. The city and community on Dnieper River, the administrative center of the Zaporozhye region and the Zaporizhye district of Ukraine, is one of the largest administrative, industrial and cultural centers of the south of Ukraine. The population minus 27,000 people. 2021. River port and important transit railway junction. The fourth largest industrial center of Ukraine with the developed mechanical engineering, ferrous and non-ferrous metallurgy, chemical and building industry. Numerous industrial enterprises pollute city air. Name. Till 1921 the city was called Alexandrovsk by the name of the Alexandrovsky fortress mortgaged in 1770. There is no unambiguous point of view in honor of whom fortress was called. The names of the General Field Marshal Alexander Golitsyn, the Prince Alexander Vyazemsky are told. In 1921 the city was renamed into Zaporizhye, being behind thresholds. The name reminds that to a construction in 1932 Zaporozhye dams in the place where the river crosses rocky southern border of the Ukrainian border came to an end the numerous thresholds interfering navigation. History. Long time 1770, year of laying of Alexandrovsky fortress was considered as foundation date of Zaporizhye. President with the 14 deputies of the city council approved by foundation date of Zaporizhye 952 year of determination of the treatise about management of the empire of the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII Adrianarani as first written mention of the existing ancient settlements on the coast of Dnieper and the island Hortitsa. Actually ancient settlements are not mentioned in the specified treatise, but Krari is crossing. Identified with the Kakasaki crossing and street. Grigory's Island are mentioned. Among scientists there is no consensus about what date to consider foundation date of Zaporizhye. The favorable climate and successful geographical location of Zaporizhye attracted the person from time immemorial. The most ancient parking of primitive people in the river valley of Dnieper belonged to era of the Middle Paleolithic. In 1929 within the modern city, near the former village of Voznesenka, the archaeological complex representing a landstone construction with a treasure of the end of the beginning of the 8th centuries, known as a Voznesensky treasure was found. The complex is connected with Khazars, the Bulgar Konaspark. 7th century. The Prince Sviatoslav Igorovich. 10th century. One of possible places of death of the Prince Sviatoslav. 972. The island Hortitsa is considered. The island Hortitsa was known since Kievan Rus. Below the island on the Dnieper current after thresholds the waterway from the Varangian in Greeks was restored. The Porozhny section of the river from the present city of Dnieper to Zaporizhye stretched almost for 75 km. The place where now there is Zaporozhye Dam, was the narrowest in lower reaches of Dnieper, therefore there was the known crossing which in different historical periods Scythians, Pechenegs and Cumans used, and subsequently, the Crimean Tatars, Turks, Slavs. Late this place was controlled by Cossacks of Zaporizhye Sechi. On the island Small Hortitsa. The island the Canoe. In 1552 the Volynsky Prince Dmitry Vishnevetsky mortgaged the wooden and earth lock which is considered a prototype of Zaporizhye Sechi. The history directly of the city begins with construction in the 18th century of Alexandrovsky Fortress, one of fortresses of the Dnieper defensive line of the Russian Empire. According to plans of the Russian government, fortress had to protect the Russian Empire from the Tatar attacks. Alexandrovskaya was the largest fortress of the line. Its construction was completed by 1775. From the very beginning of existence of fortress it began to be formed near its so-called. From it is Mute. Vorstadt suburb. Builders, peasants, convicts, service staff, retired soldiers lodged in Eferstadt. From first years the government tried to turn Alexandrovsk not only into administrative, but also into the economic center of the region. Around fortress on empty lands were allocated to Mennonite Germans who founded about 23 colonies. The settlement developed, the population increased. At the end of the 18th century through Alexandrovsk there were goods for construction of Kherson and the Black Sea Fleet that turned the town into the considerable transport hub. In 1785 Alexandrovsky Fürstadt was transformed to the posad, the settlement of city type. To the posad the right to have city institutions was granted, the town hall became first of which. The new posad belonged at first to Novomoskovsk, and then to Pavlograd, two counties. Despite the successful beginning, the city did not gain considerable development at the end of the 18th century. The population of the posad grew slowly. With growth of a trade roll of Odessa and change of the directions of the main trade ways in the region, Alexandrovsk began to fall into decay. In addition, in 1797 the Dnieper strengthened line was abolished because of loss of military value. In 1806 Alexandrovsk receives the status of the district city, becoming one of many cities of the Ekaterinoslavoski province. In the first half of the 19th century Alexandrovsk represented the typical country town with 3 brick and 1 solotopenidy plants. Most of inhabitants was engaged in trade, agriculture and crafts connected with agriculture. Alexandrovsk also did not develop in large shopping center as trade developed in Nikopol, located below across Dnieper, more actively. 19–beginning of the 20th century. Construction of the Lozovo-Sevastopolsky Railroad, as a result of which the city turned into significant transit point on transportation of goods. First of all, bread became a new push to development of Alexandrovsk. Thanks to emergence from the middle of the 19th century in the region of new industrial enterprises, Alexandrovsk gradually becomes one of the main centers of agricultural mechanical engineering. Considerable development is purchased by the flour grinding industry. On the eve of World War I, the population of the city reached 63.6 thousand people. The water supply system power plant was constructed. In Alexandrovsk 47 various plants and factories, 4 tens craft workshops worked. During World War I to Alexandrovsk, a number of industrial enterprises was evacuated from frontline territories. From Warsaw, automobile repair shops, the plant of Bormann, the Sweden to Joint Stock Company; from Petrograd, the plant of aviation motors; from Riga, the wire and nail plant. With growth of military production, and arrival of a large number of refugees and evacuated, the population increases. At the end of 1916 it is already 72.9 thousand people. After the February Revolution, results of elections in all Russian and Ukrainian constituent meetings became the certificate that the popularity as Bolsheviks and the Ukrainian Socialist Party increased in the Zaporozhye region. Influence of other parties considerably decreased.
Throughout Civil War, the power in Alexandrovsk in 1917-1921 belonged to the Central Rada Bolsheviks, the Central Rada, established by means of occupational Austro-German troops. The Hetman P. Skoropadsky, the Directory again, 2 White Guards, Makhnovets, and eventually came to the end with a victory of Bolsheviks. In the early 20s, gradual revival of the city began. On March 15, 1921, Alexandrovsk was renamed into Zaporizhye, and the province became Zaporizhye. In 1929-1932, at first in Special Bureau, and later in Zaporozhye Usar, was developed the master plan of Big Zaporizhye. The general plan provided creation of 7 areas: Alexandrovsk, Voskresenki, the area of Dnipro-Kombinata, Pavlo-Kichkasa, the island of Hortitsa, and the reserve region of Baburki.
Between a dam and the industrial site where the plants were under construction, intent came from the center of old Alexandrovsk settlement No.
6, which received the name Sotsgorod, was mortgaged. In Sotsgorod, multi-story houses, no more than 4 floors, with spacious comfortable apartments were built. For years of pre-war 5 years period, Zaporizhye turned into the big industrial city. Construction of the Zaporozhye became a symbol of industrialization, not only Zaporizhye, but also all Usar. Together with construction of the station in the city, several large plants, in particular, the plant Sheet-Stali, today Zaporozhye, coke chemical, aluminum, magnesium, ferroalloys, the plant Tool-Stali were built.
Their prospect still now.
A huge role in development of the Soviet aircraft industry, including the military, the engine building plant located in Zaporizhye played. Nowadays Motor Sich.
In pre-war years, Zaporizhye becomes one of the major centers for production of ferrous and non-ferrous metals, the heavy industry and power industry.
Here 100% of magnesium, 60% of aluminum, 60% of ferroalloys, 20% of rolled steel, from the general release were manufactured in the Usar. In 1939 the city became the center of the neogenic Zaporozhye region. Great Patriotic War. On August 18, 1941 the German troops approached the city. Because of threat of break of the German troops, without notification of the population and troops, the dam of Zaporozhye was undermined. According to some sources, it led to the considerable victims among military and civilians. In other sources of data on huge losses of the Soviet part are disproved. Soon the island Hortitsa was busy by Germans, and permanent firings of the city considerably complicated evacuation. In the night of September 4, an army of the Red Army and a militia forced Dnieper and landed on the island.
It considerably weakened firing of the enterprises and the city, that allowed to provide dismantling and evacuation of industrial enterprises and the population.
On October 4, 1941 the Red Army left Zaporizhye. The occupation period, which lasted more than 2 years, began. During this time in the city about 44,000 civilians and prisoners of war died. Zaporizhye took an important place in the system of defense of the German command.
It was caused both by industrial value of the city and its arrangement from the military point of view.
For defense of the city, Germans created the Zaporozhye base, which became a part of a system of the German defensive works on the East Shaft Line. The left bank part of the city by means of night tank storm was released on October 14, 1943, however the German troops were fixed on the right coast of Dnieper and on the Lake Hortitsa. In October-December 1943, after forcing of Dnieper, the Soviet troops managed to create several bases on a right bank, and in December 1943 Germans receded from the river. Post-war years. Reconstruction of the old town, restoration and growth. New led Satsgarad to their connection in the 1960th years.
After invasion of Russia into Ukraine through the railway station of Zaporozhye, there passes the flow of refugees from the regions of Ukraine occupied by Russia.
In the morning on March 16, 2022, the railway station was fired by the Russian rockets. The climate is continental, with the droughty hot dry winds expressed during the summer period, which in separate years are especially strong. The summer is warm, usually begins in the 1st of May and lasts prior to the beginning of October, covering the period about 5 months. The winter is moderately soft, the lack of steady snow cover is often observed. On average, height of snow cover is 14 cs, the greatest -35 cs. Heat surplus combination to a lack of moisture is characteristic.
Average annual temperature is +9.0 C, average temperature in July +22.9
C, and in January 4.9 C. Average depth of frost penetration in soil -0.8 m, maximum about 2 m. Under the terms of security with moisture, the territory of the city belongs to a droughty zone. The average annual amount of precipitation makes 443 m, and evaporation from a land surface -490 m, from a surface of the water -850 m. At the same time, heavy rains are observed in the summer that strongly wash away the surface of the soil. Relative air humidity is at 13 o'clock 60%, the smallest -0% is observed in June-August. The prevailing directions of wind during the warm period, northern and northeast, during the cold period, northeast and east. Average speed of wind is 3.8 m/s, amplifying up to 4.2 m/s on the outskirts of the city. The maximum speed of wind up to 28 m/s is observed once in 15-20 years. Annually, on average, the city is covered with fog of 45 days for a year. The greatest number of fogs -60 in a year. The square of the city makes 33099 hectares. 331 km. A territory indicator on 1,000 inhabitants -39 hectares. More than 4,000 hectares the occupied water spaces. 12.8%. About 8,000 hectares occupy industrial, municipal and warehouse facilities. Special territories, 17.6% of city lands are used in agriculture. The free city lands, making 1.6% of all territory of the city, are shattered and are dispersed, no located. So, the usual churnism, low humus. Height above sea level up to 50 meters. This city, the small rivers Dry and Wet Muskovki, Kushigam, Top Hortitsa flow. For 2010 in the city there are 18 parks and 56 squares, however not all correspond to the status, some squares are built almost completely up, many parks are abandoned. Among the operating well-planned parks there are a Central Park of Culture and Leisure, Oak Grove, Voznesenovsky, the ZET Park.
The complex indicator of pollution of atmospheric air in Zaporozhye in 2001-2005 corresponded to the inadmissible level and dangerous extent of pollution.
The quality of atmospheric air for 2010. According to health regulations of protection of atmospheric air in settlements, is estimated on pollution level as inadmissible, and on danger degree, moderately dangerous. In 2008 harmful emissions in the atmosphere made 331,800 tons. By estimates of 2010 of 40% of emissions it is the share of cars. Daily more than 150 chemicals are thrown out air of Zaporozhye, many of them treat 1-2 hazard classes. Manganese dioxide, benzopyrin, compounds of lead, etc. Intensive pollution by dust, up to 40%. Phenol and hydrogen sulfide, up to 50-60%. Nitrogen oxides, up to 40%. Fluorine and chlorine defines a background of this trouble. The city is supplied with the drinking water which is taken away from Dnieper dams or higher. In 2009 Chlorinator Central Treatment Plant No. 1 was put in operation. Cooling water Drymerskovka, after upholding in the Kapustyansky beam in the area Zaporozhye left, is dumped from the plants on the bed of the small river directly to Dnieper. In the place of its confluence with Dnieper, after a dam, water is painted in yellowish red color. In the city 38 beaches are registered, 20 of which also 18 wild are assigned to the enterprises. A condition of beaches, also as well as their financing by the city are recognized as unsatisfactory in 2010. Following the results of 2009 Zaporozhye was not in the list of the top 10 of the cities of Ukraine with the most polluted atmosphere. In 2010 Zaporozhye took the 8th last place in the list of the most comfortable large cities of Ukraine. As of January 1, 2021 the actual population of the city made 722,713 inhabitants. As a result of falling of birth rate and growth of death rate in the city, the structure of the population which is referred to regressive when the number of elderly inhabitants exceeds the number of children was created. During 2013 the level of birth rate was 9.3 promille, and death rate minus 13.6 promille. Communication language generally Russian. Document flow and office work is conducted in Ukrainian. Religious structure. As of 2006 more than 90 religious communities current the directions acted in the city. The Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchy, Orthodox Church of Ukraine, the Roman Catholic Church, Consolidation of Evangelical Baptist Christians, Consolidation of the Judaic communities, Consolidation of the Muslim communities are the most influential. Also in the territory of the city there are more than 4 Jewish communities.
Orthodox Churches of Zaporozhye treat Zaporozhye and Melitopol dioceses of Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchy, the Zaporozhye Diocese of Orthodox Church of Ukraine.
The city of Zaporozhye is an independent administrative and territorial unit and the administrative center of the Zaporozhye region. In the city there are bodies of both local and regional self-government. Bodies and officials of local government in the city are Mayor, Management Official, City Council. The legislature is elected by the population for 5 years. 7 district administrations. Executive bodies of City Council. Judicial authority in the city is performed by 7 district courts. The mayor is elected residents, by direct, the general, free, a ballot for a period of 5 years. The newly elected mayor takes the oath at the session of City Council. In 2015-2021 a mayor of Zaporozhye was Vladimir Buryak. It is re-elected in 2020.
After resignation of Buryak on September 29, 2021, it is temporary the Secretary of City Council Anatoly Kurtov began to perform the mayor's powers.
In Zaporozhye there are also legislative, the Zaporozhye Regional Council, executive, the Zaporozhye Regional Public Administration, also judicial authorities of the power of the Zaporozhye region. Political parties. By results of elections of 2020 in City Council 64 deputies of the following parties are provided. Party Volodymyr of Bede, 16.25%. Oppositionally Platform Zaporozhye 13.20. 3%. Servant to the People of 13.20.3%. Equals for Paska Soldans 11.17.2%. Nova Politika 6%. Party Sharia 5%. Economy.
Budget revenues of the city are planned for 2020 of 7.12 billion wa, expenses minus 8.03 billion wa. Officially registered unemployment rate as of April 2015 was 1.3% when 10,000 people had the status of the unemployed, among which 7.4 thousand received the help with unemployment.
Industry. Economic capacity of the city of Zaporozhye are over 280 industrial enterprises, among which the main share is made by the enterprises of mechanical engineering, metallurgy and metalworking, the chemical and petrochemical industry, the food industry.
The metallurgy sector is provided by the enterprises of ferrous and non-ferrous metallurgy, in particular joint stock companies Zaporozhye, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporozhye Plant of Ferroalloys, Zaporozhye, Zaporozhye Zaporozhye Steel Rolling Plant, Zaporozhye, Zaporozhye Production Aluminum Plant, Graphite, Zaporozhye Titanium Magnesium Works, Zaporozhye Plant of Non-Ferrous Metals,
Zaporozhye Foundry and Mechanical Plant.
The mechanical engineering of the city is known in the world market large enterprises, among which
Zavod Podzemno-Transportnych Maszyn, NLCT, Zaporozhye Automobile Building Plant, Zaporozhye Preobrazovatelь Plant, Zaporozhye Abrasive Plant, Elektrovormantny Plant, Zaporozhye Shipbuilding and Ship Repair Plant, Zaporozhye Plant of a Heavy Kranostroyenia, Zaporozhye Mechanical Plant, Developer of Aircraft Engines Progress, Center of Aviation Engine Building Motorsich. Developer and founder of KP Radar Stations NPX Spark, GG, Radio Set. The food industry provides the population of the city with food and drinks. The largest of them are bakeries.
Pisk Zaporozhye Bakery No. Free and Pisk Zaporozhye Bakery No.
Jest Zaporozhye Libo Kombinat No. 1, Maslows Kombinat, Meat Processing Plant, Biek, Slavatik, the plant of soft drinks, beverages Kivas. In the city more than 16,000 subjects of business activity. Markets.
In Zaporozhye 21 markets and 12 trading floors work.
19 mixed, 5 food, 1 non-food, 4 automobile and 4 flour. Including markets of the Irkov, Zaporozhye.
Central, covered, small, space, Hortitsky, right bank, Zavadsky, the market Satskoroda and Shevchenkovsky trading floor.
Science and education. In 2013/2014 academic year in Zaporozhye 143 preschool educational institutions in which more than 26,000 children were raised functioned. As of 2014 in Zaporozhye there were 60.6 thousand pupils in 117 general education institutions of municipal property and 5 private institutions. The network of the highest and professional educational institutions of the city makes 17 educational institutions I-4 of levels of accreditation, 16 vocational training where about 45,000 students study. Main higher educational institutions. Zaporozhye State Engineering Academy. ZIA. Zaporozhye State Medical University. ZISMU. Zaporozhye Institute of Economy and Information Technologies. ZIIT. National University Zaporozhye Poly-Equipment. NUSB. Zaporozhye National University. ZONU. Classical Private University. SIPU. Scientific Centers. Institute of the Titan, Scientific Research Institute of Special Steels. Institute of Agricultural Mechanical Engineering, Scientific Research Institute of Gas Purification, Scientific Research Institute of a Transformatroyene, Scientific Research Institute of Power, Design and Institute of Technology, Enelsnikton Salkozmash. Earlier the Scientific Research Institute of a Radio Communication. ZNIRS. Institute of Mechanization of Livestock Production worked. In the city about 20 libraries, the largest of them, Regional Universal Scientific Library, are located. In 2011 the team of Zaporozhye took the second place, having given way in the Dancing Maidens teleproject to team of Kairovarat. Sport. At the disposal of residents track and field athletics arenas, swimming pools, and water sports bases, tennis courts, sports grounds with an artificial covering, Zaporozhye Sports Palace, Unist Sports Palace, modern football stadium, Slavatik Arena. In the city schools of the Olympic Reserve for children and young people on handball, freestyle wrestling and judo work. In a Super League of Ukraine men's handball teams from Zaporozhye, Eter and Motor Act, in a Volleyball Super League women's volleyball club of Orbit University Acts. Earlier in the highest leagues of the country football clubs, Metallurg, Torpedo, Zaporozhye Basketball Club, Women's Basketball Club, Kazakh, Women's Handball Club, Motor were provided. Besides, athletes of Zaporozhye achieve results in the rowing, Greco-Roman wrestling, judo, easy and weightlifting, all round. Including in a triathlon. Sailing, water sports, rhythmic gymnastics, oriental martial arts, chess and checkers. On air of Zaporozhye it is possible to hear more than 10 FM radio stations. Among actually Zaporozhye Nostali, the Great Meadow, Zaporozhye FM.
For 2005 in the Zaporozhye region 185 newspapers which extended with a general circulation about 1.5 million copies were issued.
In the regional center more than 20 various newspapers and magazines are issued. Among them, Industrial Zaporozhye Make, Zaporozhye Truth, Z-Time, Zaporozhye Shaki, Maria, Purse, Supply, Sabota Plus, Cloud. Transport. City passenger traffic in Zaporozhye is provided with trams. 7 routes. Trolleybuses. 7 routes. Buses, the taxi and local electric trains. The Zaporozhye railway junction is formed by crossing of 2 main lines. Kharkiv Zaporozhye I, Simferopol and Kryvyi Rih, Zaporozhye 2, Donbas. External bus transportations of passengers are performed by 3 bus stations. Bus station, Suburban is -2 and is -3. The network of highways M-18, U105, N-08, N-15, N-23, T-0803 connects the city with several areas of Ukraine. The river ports located on the left coast in the top and lower Bife of the Dnieper hydroelectric power station provide freight and passenger traffic in the basin of Dnieper and the Black Sea coast. In the city there is an international airport, Zaporozhye. The left and right coast of the city are connected among themselves by a dam of Zaporozhye, bridges of Preobrazhye, the Arch Bridge.
Now the main transport problem of Zaporozhye is the low handling capacity of bridges and a dam.
The intensity of traffic flows through bridges of Preobrazhye exceeds their handling capacity by 3.7 times, through Zaporozhye's dam, more than by 1.5 times. In 2004 construction of new bridges is begun, parallel to bridges of Preobrazhye. But still their construction is not completed by.
The network of medical institutions of Zaporozhye for 2018 consists of 33 municipal and state treatment and prevention facilities of city subordination of primary and secondary levels of delivery of healthcare to the population.
From them 17 healthcare institutions are incorporated by hospitals, including 9 hospitals of the general profile, 2 children's hospitals, 5 maternity hospitals and 1 hospital emergency and emergency medical service. Besides, stationary medical care is provided by also departmental and commercial medical institutions.
The availability indicator in the stationary help with organizations of city subordination was 20 on 100 inhabitants a year.
In the city 40 beds functioned, the security indicator on 10,000 population was 54.3. One of the main problems is the staff shortage of healthcare of the city, first of all, of doctors of primary link, family doctors, local therapists and pediatricians, radiologists, laboratory assistants, which on a number of medical institutions makes about 50% minus 60%.
Also the material and technical resources of treatment and prevention facilities, first of all services of emergency medical service and outpatient and polyclinic organizations demand improvement.
406.5 million were allocated for healthcare in 2010 that however was insufficient for full health protection. Paramedics, nurses, midwives are trained by 4 medical schools. Doctors and pharmacists are trained by the Zaporozhye State Medical University. Further advanced training of doctors is performed by the Zaporozhye Medical Academy for postgraduate education.
In Zaporozhye 9 cemeteries, from which only one acting Kashagumskoye are under authority of utility company, Ritual.
The other new cemetery of St. Nikolai acts on the Top Hortitsa, being under Department of CVS, Ritual Service, of the Zaporozhye Regional Council. Within the city there is Hortitsa, the biggest island on Dnieper. On the lake.
Small Hortitsa was located a tree, the earth town of the tribe Bady Vishnevetsky, which is considered a prototype of Sechi.
From a northern part of Hortitsa the panorama on Zaporozhye's dam and several rocks opens. The island and adjacent islands are included into the National Reserve, Hortitsa.
On the island Hortitsa there is a museum of history of the Zaporozhye Cossacks, a complex the Scythian camp.
Zarova a grave. The recreational centers of the large plants of Zaporozhye Institute of Mechanization of Livestock Production. On the island 9 settlements, live about 2,000 people.
Since foundation of the city on city lands and the island Hortitsa oak groves, which with growth of the city gradually disappeared, grew at solid wall.
According to D. 1. Yavornitsky on the island Hortitsa the huge centuries-old oak grew. He was a vetvist and enormous thickness, stood in Stoputitsy at Sazans from Ostrovo Hortitsky colony, on the south, at the road sent through the island to length. According to the legend the oak was the assembly point for Zaporozhye, where at them I was glad, under an oak Cossacks prayed before a contact to the enemy. In 1775, Pislia Troitsky it is sacred, Zaporozhye's last time saluted, the saint of Dubova, drank several barrels of Gorilka, the Cossacks Otliasala, and said goodbye. By 1888 the oak dried up, from it there was only a stub with the 6-meter scope. Possibly, under this oak Zaporozhye wrote the well-known letter to the Turkish Sultan. The picturesque atmosphere of this event is shown in the well-known picture of Ilya Repin, Zaporozhye. Repin, working on a picture, came to the island Hortitsa. Now in the settlement of Upper Hortitsa there is a drying up age mate of this oak. Diameter of its corona is equal 63 meters, a trunk circle minus 6 meters 32 centimeters, height minus 36 meters. The tree almost dried up in the 1990s, it had only one live branch. Dried branches of an oak are supported by metal poles. The hallmark of the city is the dam and power plant of Zaporozhye, which construction according to the plan of Goera was begun in 1927 on Project G. of Alexandrov. The first unit was put into operation in 1932.
In 1939 the power of the station reached project in 560,000 U, and at that time it was the greatest hydroelectric power station in Europe. The water engineering system gave the chance to flood the Dnieper thresholds and to provide free navigation on the average and lower Dnieper current. The concrete arch of a dam curved towards to a watercourse consists of 49 foundations, bulls, who are united above by the monolithic bridge.
Radius of curvature of a dam is 600 m, height minus 60 m, and length minus 760 m. On each of coast there are machine halls of power plant. On the right coast old, constructed in 1932. On the left coast, new, put into operation in 1975.
Near a dam 2 locks are located.
Old, 3-chambered, and new, single chamber. Working since 1932 and 1975. Also on the left coast in the accumulative lake, the dam has a cargo and passenger river port.
The building of a territorial justice of Alexandrovsk, one of the most beautiful in the old town.
It was constructed in 1913-1915 on the project of the local architect Yaw.
Talent which skillfully connected different architectural styles, an empire style and a modernist style.
The facade is decorated a stucco molding by semi-columns of the Ionic order, and the roof is topped with a 18-meter dome.
Now here take place the Zaporozhye Regional Museum of Local Lore. The building of the territorial justice is a monument of architecture of the state value.
Site of the city of two-story reinforced concrete bridges through Dnieper connecting the right and left coast of Zaporozhye through the island Hortitsa. The author of the project of bridges, the engineer B.N. Preobrazhensky. Bridges were opened in 1952. The upper floor of bridges is intended for railway transport, and lower, for cars and pedestrians. Bridges develop the resource and demand immediate reconstruction.
Near the railway station Zaporozhye there is longest of the Ukrainian children's railroads opened in 1972.
Its extent is 9.4 km, including length of the main way of 8.6 km.
In 1976 at the main station, the zoo corner which turned into a small zoo, only into Zaporozhye today over time was opened for Zotneva. Sutskarot, a complex of building of 1929-1937, the example of the Soviet architecture located on the left coast of Dnieper near a dam.
In the concept of its construction, the ideas of city building of the future, the Garden City, were mortgaged. Plevnaya City Street, Zaporozhye Avenue. Till 2016, Lenin Avenue. Its length is 10.8 km. There is an opinion that the avenue is the longest handout of Europe. It is not true. For example, Moskovsky Avenue length in Kharkiv about 18 km. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.